Larson here at the photo booth, taking a look at some of the stuff I picked up at the flea market over the weekend. It's been a long time since I said that. It's been a long time since we were able to do a flea market finds video. Obviously, the last couple years have not been particularly friendly to going to the flea market. Obviously for, maybe not obviously, but for, 2020 and 2021, flea markets are pretty much shut down altogether. And I'm fortunate enough to live in an area where there are quite a few flea markets in New Hampshire, in Maine, in Massachusetts. Heck, if we went to Vermont, there's probably some over there as well. I don't know that we ever have, though. We're pretty spoiled in the areas that we live in. But for that 2 year period, there just wasn't much out there. Once 2022 hit, things really did start to pick up again. But I didn't necessarily go that much. So anyway, long story short, back to the flea market this year. Have been a couple of times. Didn't pick up anything really of note. You know, I posted some pictures on my Instagram at Toy Galaxy of the few things I might have grabbed. But this weekend in particular was pretty good, which is ironic considering that I wasn't really expecting to find anything. You know, usually with flea markets, you really got to be like early in the morning, especially with toys and collectibles. You know, you got to be one of the first people there to get all the scores and all the stuff and whatever. But you know, I was like, let's just go. I was getting that itch to go dig through some stuff, look around, be surprised, and maybe not even get toys, you know, just get some cool stuff or some fun stuff I hadn't seen in a while. So anyway, this is that. I'm excited to be back at the flea markets. Can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to go every week. Might not do another flea market finds video for a while, but here we are, so let's enjoy it. In the booth here is, this is not from the flea market. This is Mythic Legions, 4 Horsemen Mythic Legions Moose, 6-inch scale Moose. His name is Alder, A-L-D-E-R. These went up for pre-order back in January of 2021, I believe, and are just now shipping. In fact, it looks like I may be one of the first folks to have received this. It's a really, really cool piece based on their horse bodies that they have already, put out. A couple of horses at this point. Looks like they swapped out, the tail piece here. So you got just a little moose tail instead of a big long moose, instead of a big long horse tail. I have not, my 2 Mythic Legions horses are actually in a storage bin right now. So I haven't pulled them out to see. I think they might have lengthened. These might be alternate. Their hooves, I think, are different. And they think they might have lengthened it to make it a little taller. I could be wrong on that. That might be just me speculating. And then, of course, it's got the moose head and the moose horns. Gear's a little fiddly. You got, I was surprised that the sort of hump here on the moose is actually just an illusion created by this piece of rigging for the moose itself. This doesn't really want to stay in place, especially if you start to move the head around. All that said, it is absolutely gorgeous. I am absolutely happy that I did pick this up. The only issue I have with it is that my wife loves having, her Christmas decorations and stuff on display, and wants to get 8 more of these so we could have like a Rudolph and 8 reindeer behind in front of a Santa sled, and that's cost prohibitive, so I don't think we're going to be doing that, but it is a very, very gorgeous piece. I'm super psyched to have this thing and get it up on the shelves, but let's get to the flea market finds here. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. I wasn't really, it's crazy. It was one of those days where I was not expecting really to get anything. We sort of got up late, didn't get there as early as we would like to. You really need to be one of the first folks into the place to get the good stuff. And so I just wasn't really expecting to find anything. But it was more about just going there, walking around, seeing what was what. You might not be looking for the same thing that I was looking for, so, you might have passed something by that I was actually interested in. Or maybe you wanted to pay less and left it there. And, there's other possible reasons for things to get left behind. So anyway, there was a seller who had these 3 Masters of the Universe Origins in the box pieces. Stridor, the Wind Raider, and then the Battlefield Warriors, Battle Armor He-Man and Battle Cat. 2-pack, all in the box, never opened. And, the weird thing is, I'm not collecting Origins. I really am not. In fact, I didn't own any Origins figures until PowerCon at the beginning of August, and the only reason I bought any that's all right. That's not true. I can't. My life is so full of lies. I don't even know what the truth is anymore. I had Scareglow. I had Scareglow, Masters of the Universe Origins Scareglow, because Scareglow is Scareglow, and I'll buy Scareglow pretty much in any format he comes in. In fact, I think the only Scareglow that I don't currently own is a vintage one, because I had one, and then it got up to like $200, and I was like, Scareglow, you're moving out, and so I sold that thing. Now the prices in a really good condition, complete vintage Scareglow are like $300 or whatever, $400 depending. On which, hybrid you have with him. If you have the glow-in-the-dark one, forget about it. So I don't really care about the vintage one right now. But since I didn't have a vintage one, I wanted to make sure I got the Origins one in particular, because it is so vintage styled. So I do have an Origins Scareglow, and then at some point during one of these photo booth videos a very long time ago, in fact, I don't even know if I actually did a photo booth video for it, or maybe we did it on live stream, but someone whose name I do not remember, and if you're watching this, I apologize, let me know in the comments. Somebody did send in a regular Skeletor from the Origins line, sort of to say like, hey, I'm having fun with this line. I like this figure. You should check it out. And I'll be honest, I don't really have a problem with the line. If I have any complaints, my complaints are, one, I didn't feel like they were different enough from vintage to justify going all in on it. Now, having not really, handled too many of them, I didn't really see the play value. And, fast forward to PowerCon a few weeks ago, I'm sitting next to Pixel Dan, Mr. He-Man himself, in Columbus, Ohio. And I was like, you know what? PowerCon is traditionally a Masters of the Universe show, and I want to get something that is, really, really Masters of the Universe, but not too expensive. There's nothing vintage I want, and I'm not really into Masterverse right now, so I'm like, you know what? Let me grab the best He-Man that's out there, and that was the other reason I didn't get into Origins, was because, and let me grab my He-Man. Hey, Lupin. I didn't get into Origins because I didn't like the He-Man. And, I figured I didn't like the He-Man or the Skeletor. And I figured if I wasn't going to like the two main players in the line, then why bother even getting into the line? It didn't make any sense to me. I really did not like that initial portrait that they put on either of those two characters, Skeletor or He-Man. So I was like, Dan, Pixel Dan, what do I got to do? What do I got to buy to get the best possible, vintage looking He-Man? And so he said, there's, an initial release and then a re-release of this figure that has this head on it, or you buy this one and you buy Battle Armor He-Man, and then you just swap the heads. So that's what I did. I bought this one and I bought Battle Armor He-Man. I swapped off this vintage styled head onto the vintage figure, and there you have it. And so I'm actually very pleased with this figure. I like it a lot. I have since picked up, at the show, I picked up Buzz Off. So I'm not, this whole thing started by me saying I'm not collecting Origins. Here's my Origins collection behind He-Man here. The whole thing is, I'm just going to get the things that are either super cheap that I do want, and part of picking this up was I wanted Battle Cat, or I'm going to be picking up the things that will be replacing my core figures, my team from when I was a kid. And my team is He-Man, I need Clawful, I need Webstore, I need Roboto, I need Buzz Off, and that's about it, I did pick up the 2000X Skeletor because I wanted to have a Skeletor, and I really like the portrait on that one is fantastic. So that's my Skeletor, this is my He-Man, and now I've got a Battle Cat. Mrs. Toy Galaxy wanted, she collects, the toy horses, so I had been intending to get a Stridor for a while, really wanted to see that on a super cheap price. So anyway, this particular seller had these three items and one other item that I was able to bundle all together. You can see that it says $20 here. That's not what I paid for it. I mean, I think all of these initially were probably like 20, 30. I don't remember what they actually were priced at in the stores. But he's like, if you buy all three, I'll give you a better deal. And I was like, great, I'm paying less than what original retail was. Plus, he had this. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, I'm not leaving without that. For sure. So he added like another $5 onto the price and said, take it all. And I was like, yep, I'll take it all. So I grabbed this. If you're not familiar what this is or why it's significant or why I was so excited to get it, it is a helmet from Lazer Tag. I have lots of Lazer Tag stuff, you know, guns and the starlight things for your chest. And I think I have the ball cap and whatever. But this has been in the background, well, not this specific one, the one we already have, has been in the background of pretty much every video, history of video, or any of the old videos where you could see the background behind me, the shelves full of toys. This has been in the background pretty much since we started the show. I just, decorating the shelves early on, I thought this looked cool, took up a lot of space, threw it in the background, and I had a skull, just a life-size skull that I used to keep on my desk for reference when I was drawing, that I had picked up at, you know, a craft store for like $5 or whatever. And I was like, oh, that looks like it's about human sized. I'll put it in there. And then it just sort of sat in the background forever. And so that has sort of become our unofficial, you know, laser skull kind of background mascot sort of thing. We've got a design by Joel Carroll on t-shirts in our merch store, beanscannon.com. We've got pins that we've been selling at conventions. And it's just sort of our thing now. And I think it's an awesome looking science fiction helmet. So you rarely see them anywhere. So when I turned around and saw this on the table, I was like, well, I'm not leaving without that unless it's stupidly priced. But it wasn't. It was stupidly goodly priced. So I grabbed all 4 of these things from the same seller. This thing's in a little worse condition, a little bit more battle action, a little bit more, it's seen a little bit more combat and rough handling over the years than the one that we currently have in the video, but I'm psyched to have another one of these. This literally only the second one that I've ever had the opportunity to pick up, other than when they were actually on the shelves, and back then they were too expensive. So I may see if I can clean this up a little bit. It's got some nicks and scratches on it and stuff here. I haven't tested it. In fact, I haven't tested the one that we already had on the set. So I don't know if either of these actually does work. I don't even know what they do, because having not owned it as a kid, I don't know if, like, I assume these lights are your hits. 1, 2, 3. There's 5 lights here on the front. There are 5 lights. I assume those are your hit points there, because that's how the starlight on the chest worked. I don't know if this is a light on top or if that's a sensor. It looks like that might be the sensor. But it's also got it's the star helmet. It's also got a speaker on the side here, which I assume is just like the starlight that you wear on your chest. I assume it makes the sound effects for like your sort of heartbeat, and it records the blast when you get hit. So this, you know, it's obviously a kid-sized helmet, but I can get this on my head if I really like. You just got to sort of flex it out a little bit. You know, it's got some flex to it, so I can get this on my head, but it is not very comfortable. Just a cool looking, you know, science fiction helmet that I've just always loved the look of. So I got all 4 of those things. Psyched to have those in the collection. I'll break these out. Oh, the other thing that really sold me on this was I really wanted to get a Battle Cat. I didn't really care so much about this, you know, Battle Armor He-Man, since I had already grabbed the other one. It's nice to have it in chrome, but whatever. An additional portrait here, a different sword, and then I do really like these Castle Grayskull sort of diorama pieces at the bottom there. That's a lot of fun. I don't have a Castle Grayskull, and I am not going to be getting one. Even if I saw one for a super cheap price, it's just I don't I don't have the display space for that in my collection or my display or anything like that, and I just don't need one. I have a vintage Castle Grayskull, and you know, that's good enough for me. The next thing I picked up were a couple of Ninja magazines, issue 1 and issue 2, Invisible Assassins of the Night. These are from 1983, and I'll be honest, I had no real connection to these or anything. I did not own these as a kid. I don't remember ever seeing these as a kid. I just remember the ninja craze and how everywhere, you know, how no joke, well, omnipresent ninjas were at the time. And so this hit me with a sort of sense of nostalgia for something that I didn't actually have. And I'm pretty sure that if I had wanted to get these magazines at the time, you know, 1983, I was 7 years old, that my parents would not have been interested in me picking these up. It's funny to read them now, and I think even my parents, you know, would laugh at how ridiculous these things are now. But at the time, you know, ninjas, this kind of stuff was still kind of scary, and you know, the ads for all the weapons, and you know, I don't blame parents for being, you know, scared of this kind of stuff. They don't know what's going on. It was just a different time. But man, some of the ads in here, some of the articles, I haven't had a chance to read through it all yet, but they are hilarious in retrospect. Learn the amazing art of invisibility. The Manriki Gusari, slashing and whipping with the chain of death. It's just fantastic. Snow Ninja, stealth tactics for winter warfare. It is just absolutely brilliant. Maybe at some point, we'll have a shot or a scene we'll need to do for a video at the studio where I'll need to be sitting reading a magazine, and this will be the magazine that I'll be holding, and you just kind of see the cover. Oh, look at that! The poster is the exact same. I couldn't pass those up. Those $2 a piece. I was like, yeah, I'm not. Even if I can't use them for anything, I'm going to have fun. Just reading those. And when I posted pictures on Instagram and Twitter, there were a lot of people who really connected with them and had them as a kid, and these were their magazines, that they had the subscriptions to. So it was one of those things that I was just like, I'll bet people are going to get a kick out of seeing these. I surely did. And holy cow, some of the art in this is absolutely terrible. Like the original illustrations. No offense if the artist is working today. Now I can't find any of the drawings. They are just, they're probably, I would say, high school art, level quality. These are actually some of the better ones here. Those actually aren't that bad. But some of the other pictures in here are just rough. Anyway, a lot of fun. I'll definitely be reading those cover to cover so I can learn more about the secrets of ninjutsu. I also grabbed couple of Laserdiscs. I do not particularly collect Laserdiscs, but producer Greg does. And at this point, he doesn't collect them all. There are only specific ones. There are only certain ones that he has on his list that he wants to pick up. So knowing that this guy had a ton of Laserdiscs, and I immediately messaged Greg and said, what are you looking for? And he, didn't give me any specific titles. He gave me the generalities. So I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure I know what he wants. So I would have expected that he already had Batman, and maybe he already does. Maybe he doesn't have this version of Batman, but I knew that was going to be a get. So I grabbed Batman, grabbed Batman Returns, grabbed Batman Forever, which I don't think producer Greg is actually going to want. I think he just wants the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton ones. And then also I grabbed another Batman because, heck, I want one too. So, what are you going to do with Laserdisc? You can't. I think Greg has a Laserdisc player, but I don't know that it works. And if it does work, I don't think it's actually been hooked up for years and years and years. It's more about, the presentation and sort of, the only thing he really collects are, physical media of the films and, shows that he really, really, truly loves. And one of those happens to be 89 Batman and Batman Returns. So those are a couple things. To me, that was like the rarest thing in the world that I could possibly find at a flea market. Not a vintage Scareglow, but something that producer Greg needed in his collection and actually wanted. It was pretty cool to be able to find those and hook him up with those. At a great price, too. Next up is this, which not vintage, not old. Actually, something that I had, and I'll say had because, I picked up this figure when it came out new. This is in the box. I got it it was $20 from the seller, and I didn't mind paying that much because I had got this when it originally came out, and then I recently started customizing it thanks to Gridiron Studios. Follow them on Instagram. Check out their store for all the G.I. Joe classified, weapons and backpacks and helmets and customization kits that you could possibly want. I started, they were very generous and sent me a yellow fighter pilot helmet that I put on this figure and started customizing into a G.I. Joe classified Blue Angel pilot. And I'm still working on that. I'm not really sure. Basically, what I did was I cut off the knife sheath. I cut off the Cobra logo. And what I need to do is like paint a yellow stripe. Maybe this the web gear strap that's on his shoulder here. Paint that yellow, maybe a little bit of yellow here. I'd love to put a little Blue Angel's crest on his chest, maybe on his shoulder, and then maybe one on the back of the yellow fighter pilot helmet. And then that's pretty much done as far as I'm concerned. That's as far as I need to go with that customization. The blue is just the right blue. I don't mind the gray accents. But I had immediately then pre-ordered another one of these from Big Bad Toy Store because I wanted to make sure I had an unaltered version of this figure in my collection. So I literally saw this and was like, I'll take that because it was only $20 at the flea market, whereas my pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store was $25. So saving me money. And then this guy, I grabbed this. I did post a picture of some of the rest of the stuff this particular seller had on Instagram. You know, a lot of really cool in-package vintage Star Wars stuff, the troop transport, some micro collection stuff. So this was his actual, you know, childhood micro collection Boba Fett, and I do already have this figure. Here's actually the one that I already had. The one I already had is on the left. The one that I picked up this weekend is on the right. And I picked it up knowing that I already had it. I did go ahead and pick it up anyway because I wasn't sure what the condition on mine was. I was pretty sure the condition was pretty good, but just in case, you know, at the price that he was asking $10 for this. At the price he was asking, I was like, I'll take that chance that I end up with two in really good condition, just in case. But it turns out that mine actually did have a pretty rough paint spot on the top of his helmet, and it's a little scratched off. And, you know, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I don't mind well-worn Boba Fett figures. But in this case, if I could, you know, very affordably pick up a very nicely painted sample, look at the red rocket on there. That's so great. I was a absolute guarantee that I was going to buy that. So psyched to grab that as well. And then lastly is this guy, and I apologize. I looked up the name of this thing last night, and I forgot to check my notes here just before I went and started recording this. I thought this was just straight up a Sectaurs knockoff, but it turns out it was sort of like its own knockoff line of figures. They're called like Guardians of Power or something like that. And so, you know, where Sectaurs are kind of a little bit softer, you know, these are a very sort of hard, solid plastic line of action figures. But this is basically the Prince Dargon mold with some extra paint apps and some new stickers and stuff. This almost looks like Prince Dargon's like super, you know, like Prince Dargon and Prince Adam, you know, got together and had a baby or something. That's kind of what this looks like. So he has his chromed out laser rifle here. This sword, I'm not sure about. I believe it's original to him, but every sample that I've seen has a sword that matches this. It's more of like a chromed out sword. This one's just all in plastic. So I'm not sure if maybe this came from a different figure. It does snap in to the back here. And then there's a couple of pegs. I don't want to pull it out. There's a couple of pegs on the back there that it snaps into that holds it in place. But I almost passed on this because I don't really do knockoff figures. I don't really have a place in my collection for that. But you know, again, this was like $2 and I almost passed on it. I was like, I only want to pay like $1 for it because I don't even really know what I'm going to do with it. And that was one where Mrs. Toy Galaxy was just like, buy that. It's $2. If you don't want it, you definitely know somebody who would be interested in it, who would take that off your hands, no problem. You know, throw it in a Patreon box, you know, one of those things. But do not leave that there for $2. She's like, if you don't buy it for $2, I'm going to buy it for $2. So you might as well buy it and see if you can get a better price, you know? So I grabbed this thing, and it is, I believe, I should have grabbed a Sectaurs figure. I believe it actually is a little bit bigger than a vintage Sectaurs. He obviously doesn't have his antennae on top here. And, you know, there's a lot of other things going on. But it is, as far as knockoffs go, it's a quality figure. You know, this would fit right in, you know, with Sectaurs. Got to look at this gap in the bicep over here that's just hollow. But, you know, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know, you know, it's not that badly made as far as stuff goes. And there's a whole line of like, there's, you know, vehicles and robots and stuff that go along with this. There's other characters that don't have their origin in Sectaurs stuff. There's like this giant robotic like centaur thing that this guy rides that has nothing to do with Sectaurs or anything like that. So just a weird, you know, sort of thing. And, you know, based on the condition and the weirdness of it, I was like, all right, you know, I may not put this actually out on a shelf, but I'll give it a good home in a bin or something for now, until maybe he can serve a different purpose, and maybe I can trade it off for something else down the road. But still a neat piece to find, something I was not expecting, but also the kind of thing I was hoping to find. It's the kind of thing I hope to find at the flea market. You know, all of this stuff, was. Things I didn't think I was going to be seeing that day, things I didn't think I needed or was interested in, you know, but it's there and you get the story, and I'm glad to have picked up all this stuff. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully, you know, I'll be able to get back into doing some flea market finds here, so get back to recent acquisitions, those kinds of things. I do miss these videos. It's just I don't have as many opportunities to do them as I used to. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Later.